Hello, this video will show you how to create a Windows Gold image from the VERDE VDI Management Console. VERDE VDI is based on Gold Image Masters that contain your operating system of choice, which could be Windows or Linux, updates and patches for the OS, and the needed business applications. So in this video I will go through the steps to create a Windows Gold image. I'm going to start off by clicking on Configuration, Gold Images. We're going to scroll over to Gold Image, and you can see that I have several Gold images already created. From here we're going to click on the Manage ISOs button so that we can stage an ISO file of the OS that we want to create a Gold image. So I will click on Choose File. That will bring up a File Explorer, and I'm going to pick a Windows 10 Business Edition 1909 as my source to begin creating my Gold image. I will click Open, and then I will click on the Import button. Now this can take 1 to 2 minutes, so I'm going to pause the video until it finishes. Clicking the Import button transfers your ISO file to a special location on the VERDE server. After the import completes, your ISO file will be listed. We can click the Close button. Now what we will do is click the Create New in the Gold Images menu, and this will help us to begin creating a Gold image master. You'll be prompted to enter a name for your Gold image. The best practice is to enter all lowercase letters with no embedded spaces. You can use underscore characters. I will call this Gold image Win10_1909. Now I will also enter a more user-friendly title. So we'll call the title Windows 10 64-bit_1909. The description field is completely optional. In the operating system drop-down, I will also choose Windows 10 64-bit, and you can see the other choices that you would have. And then I'll click the Next button. And from this screen we will need to select our installation media, or our ISO file. So I'm going to drop down the list of the ISO files that have been staged on the VERDE server and look for the 1909 version. There it is. I'll highlight it and click it. The system image max size in gigabytes defaults to 40 gig. The size is important because it needs to be large enough to handle the operating system, future patches and system updates, and enough additional space to house all of the business applications that you plan to install. So in my case, I'm going to change the 40 to about 50 gig. Now at a later time you can modify the Gold image and increase the size of the system image. This will be covered in another video. In session settings, I'm going to take the default, and there is another video also explaining more about session settings. And then the rest of these fields I'll leave the default value, and I'll click Next. On the next screen you will need to select a Management Console admin that becomes the owner of this Gold image. Later you can add other admins that will have rights to this Gold image to perform updates. So I'll select MC Admin 1 and say, scroll that up, Create New Image. At this point the Gold image definition has been configured, and now this will require launching the virtual machine so we can go through the normal Windows installation steps. To do this we need to launch the VERDE client and log in using the credentials of the Management Console admin that was assigned as the owner. So I've launched the VERDE client, and you can see I'm logged in as MC Admin 1. I'm just going to enter a password and go ahead and complete the login, and then it'll list the Gold image that is in an edit mode because we have created it, and it's using SPICE protocol, and I'll go ahead and say connect to desktop. Now the next screen will take 1 to 2 minutes before the Windows install begins. At this point, VERDE is performing several housekeeping steps to prepare the installation steps of the Windows environment. As you can see, the Windows ISO launched in a guest window and began a boot process. Now this next screen is a familiar Windows installation screen. I won't go through all of the steps in this video to install the Windows 10 because it can take 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll be back after I complete the install steps. From the different distribution options I have, I'm selecting Windows 10 Pro. From this screen you can see the 50 gigabyte system image size that I chose when I created the gold image. During the Windows installation, I wanted to just recap a few things. When I launched the VERDE client, that allows us to log into this gold image to be able to begin the creation of it, VERDE automatically selects a transport protocol of SPICE. And the reason for that is that RDP is not enabled within the gold image at this point. Now Windows will go through several restarts as it needs to during the installation. It's best practice to set up your Windows 10 for an organization rather than personal use. Now when you're prompted for the Windows admin account, its best practice is once again to select domain join instead of using a Microsoft account. So I'm going to click on that and then I should be prompted. And here once again its best practice is to use the same create a Windows admin account that would be the same as the user account in the VERDE management console. In my case it would be MC admin 1 and I'll click next, and then I'll assign also the same password as my VERDE management console administrator. That way whenever the gold image is checked out for doing modifications later on and you log in as the administrator, you'll match up the Windows account and get what we call single sign-on. I'm going to skip through this. I'll be right back. Best practice would be to negate all of the privacy settings for your device and then click accept. Now I am at the Windows desktop after the installation has completed. The next step is to install the VERDE guest tools. I added a desktop icon, this PC, so that I could use this to become my file explorer. And in order to install the guest tools, you can see that there's been a CD temporarily attached as a volume to the desktop. I can open that CD F drive and then look for finish windows install.exe, which is the application, and start that process to install the guest tools. You'll be prompted to allow this to run. And this will go through a series of driver installations. I'll pause while this is going on. After this completes installing all of the guest tool drivers, it will automatically shut down the Windows desktop. After the shutdown, I will go back to the VERDE client and I will restart this Windows 10 session by connecting to desktop. When it restarts the session, it will do what's called a single sign-on, and it will complete the automatic login because we use the same user account in Windows as we are using to log into the VERDE management console, which is MCAdmin1. Otherwise, you can enter whatever Windows admin account you entered or assigned during the installation steps. So the Windows installation has completed and we are at the Windows desktop. Now here you would perform some initial Windows maintenance, possibly install some updates. You will want to implement our list of best practices to actually optimize your Windows 10 desktop. Things like power management settings, things like that. And we can provide the list. And while you're logged into the gold image, you would then install your needed Windows business applications. When you've completed the customizations that you want to make to the gold image, then you would go through a normal shutdown. So during the Windows installation, we would have added the RDP protocol, since that would be the recommended transport protocol to use whenever your end users need to launch their virtual desktop. So now I'm back to the management console, and I'm going to go back into reporting users live sessions and make sure that my Windows 10 desktop has been shut down, and I'm looking for MCAdmin1 and I don't see it here, so that means that it is down. So I'll go back to configure the configuration tab to gold images, and what I can do at this is the last step, and here is my Windows 10 gold image, is I can click the check-in button under the actions column. Check-in makes the gold image active and ready for deployment. And you can see now that the Windows 10 gold image is ready to be deployed. This concludes this video, how to create a Windows gold image master.